In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I never knew existed until I came across it on the internet and absolutely scared the absolute living shit out of me. Like many of these scary fact videos, they all are something that I have discovered and it just keeps me up at night. And I'm going to be talking about locked-in syndrome. Locked-in syndrome is a rare condition where the person is aware but cannot move or communicate verbally due to complete paralysis of most voluntary muscles in the body. Only the eyes can move and blink, and no speaking. In other words, a complete loss of limb function. The person is completely conscious and aware of what is going on around them. They have complete cognitive function. The scary thing is, it can appear that the patient is in a coma, but are completely aware of what is going on in the room that they are in. There is also another version and worse version to this called complete locked-in syndrome. Now what happens here is it means that absolutely nothing on the person moves, not even the eyes. It is complete paralysis. Some people describe it as being buried alive. Now there are rumors of people that have been wrongly diagnosed as being dead, but have just had locked-in syndrome. So you can imagine the complete fear that you would have if you had this and they presumed that you were dead and they buried you. That would be something that nightmares are made of. But that is a whole nother video that we're going to be doing on being buried alive. Locked-in syndrome can be caused by a stroke. People can lack coordination between breaths and voice if they are able to speak. In some cases, the vocal cords are not paralyzed. Locked-in syndrome is caused by damage to the lower portion of the brain and brainstem, with no damage to the upper brain. Other causes of locked-in syndrome, other than a stroke, can be poisoning, such as neurotoxic venom, disease of the circulatory system, medication overdose, nerve cell damage, and brain injury. Testing for locked-in syndrome consists of getting the person to blink in response to questions while testing the pain receptors. In some cases, an EEG allows to test the brain patterns to indicate whether they are awake and aware but not able to move. There is no treatment or cure for locked-in syndrome. Stimulation of the muscles with electrodes are the only effective but not guaranteed method to help. It is rare for the function to return to the person. For any recovery to be achieved, extensive physical therapy must be done. To think about this particular thing that people can get is absolutely terrifying, and not being able to move is just like, one of the biggest fears that I have, and one of the biggest things that I do fear the most is becoming sort of like a quadriplegic or a paraplegic. I think that would be absolutely just horrible, especially being a quadriplegic and not being able to move. Like, that just makes me feel so sick, and I feel so sorry for the people out there that experience that and that has happened to them. And this locked-in syndrome, when I read about it and I looked into it, I just went, oh no. Not being able to move that'd just be complete torture. And knowing that you cannot communicate with anybody to tell them what is wrong with you, oh yeah, no, it just, that plays on every anxiety I've ever had in my life, thinking about that. And how I portrayed this with my illustration is I came up with like this alien type being that has like no limbs, that sort of can't do much because they sort of have I don't know, their limbs have been cut off, or they might have just been, you know, born like that, or whatever, you know, whatever you want to sort of come up to the conclusion with. And they are basically with these metal clips that you see that's pinning this poor thing down to the wall. It cannot move. And then there's this like this horrible like arm that's got hands on both ends. One's wrapped around, wrapped around the alien looking creature, and then the other hand is coming up to the eye and stabbing him straight through the eye. And he can't do anything about it because he can't move, and he's fastened to this wall. And this was sort of how I wanted to interpret locked-in syndrome with this particular illustration. Once again, another 3D illustration. I propped him up. I didn't do the 3 props that I usually do. I just did two bits of cardboard because I know that I wanted to wrap around the metal clamps that are fastening this guy to the wall, and yeah, sort of create that 3D effect with that. And yeah, I just wanted to capture the absolute torturous manner of locked-in syndrome and how horrible it would be. And that's all this illustration is. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you are learning some horrible facts on what can happen to human beings. So I will leave you to watch the rest of this video and see how this illustration, you know, comes up and finishes, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.